everyone, I'm Eduardo Laureano, Program Manager on the Azure Functions team. In this video, I'm going to show you the latest advancements in Azure Functions. It is super exciting to see all this great momentum behind Azure Functions and all around serverless. Our team's goal is to keep delivering value that matches your needs and advances the serverless industry. In particular, we focus on delivering functionality that lets you code in your own environment of choice, preferred programming languages, and, of course, with a rich toolset. With that in mind, just in the last few weeks, the Azure Functions team has delivered considerable improvements to our feature set. Over the course of this video, I will show you our recent releases in each one of these top 3 categories. Then I'll talk about new advanced scenarios, and at the end, I would like to make 3 product announcements. Azure Functions aims to help all developers achieve their goals, regardless of their environment preferences. For that to happen, we have ported the Functions runtime to .NET Core 2.0. This allows for developers to bring in their code assets built on .NET Core and utilize them in serverless applications on multiple platforms. The .NET Core Foundation enables upcoming Functions features to be portable, so you can expect our new features to be built for .NET Core. To unlock these new advancements, we released version 2.0 of the Functions runtime. If you'd like to try out these latest features while in preview, you just need to update your runtime version of your Function App Settings. Just navigate to your Function App Settings tab and select Beta for the runtime version. Most core platform functionality has already been ported over from 1.0 to 2.0, and you can expect more features to follow. One of the biggest advantages of moving over to .NET Core is that the local development experience that our customers love is now also available on Mac and Linux operating systems. It's really neat. Let's take a quick look how our command line interface tool works on a Mac. You can try this out for yourself following our documentation. On this short demo, I will show you how to create a function and run it locally on a Mac. First, let's create a folder for the demo, and I'll navigate to it. I'll initiate the Functions client by running function init. That brings all my files dependencies down to my Mac. And with that, I can now create my Azure Functions. Func new. I pick a language, in this case JavaScript. I'll pick a type of trigger through my template, HTTP trigger, and I can name the function, Hello World. Now I can start my host so that function can receive requests. I have my local endpoint that I can use for testing, and I'll switch over now to a different shell where I'll call that endpoint just so we can see the function running. Pass in a parameter, the function responds, and now I can switch back and see the function running. One particular area we hear a lot of customer requests is around support to more programming languages. In order to build support for more languages, we developed an extensible language worker. This enabled separation of the functions host process from the language-specific processes, increasing reliability and scalability. Using this framework, we built support for Java functions, our most requested languages. We also built tools extensions so Java developers can use familiar tools during their development process, such as Maven, which you can see on the top screenshot, where you can create your functions projects using Maven archetypes, or Visual Studio Code at the bottom, using the Java extension pack. Java and Node JavaScript were the first language extensions developed in this new model, and we can expect to continue delivering additional programming languages in the coming months. There are just so many great ways to develop Azure Functions. You can develop in Visual Studio Code on your preferred operating system, where you can create and run your Node or Java functions. You can use Visual Studio 15.5, that's on preview, which supports both developing functions on 1.0 and 2.0 runtime versions that I mentioned earlier. With that, you can take advantage of tons of cool new functionality. I would like to quickly show how easy it is to develop functions using Visual Studio. Here I have Visual Studio 15.5 preview. In Visual Studio, I can start a new project with Azure Functions. I just pick the language, pick functions, and I can name my function app. That will create all I need to develop locally. What is great is that I can pick the version of the Azure Functions runtime, version 1 or version 2, right there. I can pick the type of trigger I want, storage account, authentication, and the function app with an initial function is created. That allows for me to do all my local development with Azure Functions. I can easily, on the function app, create additional functions, or I can very easily just publish it to the cloud by clicking the Publish button. With the increased use of Azure Functions, we see more complex serverless patterns arising. Particularly, we see scenarios where state must be kept and passed on to further functions, as well as applications that take a long time to complete. To address such scenarios, we released durable functions, currently under preview. With durable functions, you can orchestrate your functions' executions and allow them to run well beyond the 10 minutes max timeout. But what's great about it is that you are not charged for idle waiting time. This powerful concept allows for a wide range of new patterns, such as fan-in, fan-out, where you need to execute multiple functions in parallel, and then wait for all of them to finish. This task that would normally be very complex with regular functions can be simply achieved with a few lines of code, as illustrated here. There's great documentation on durable functions available on docs.microsoft.com. As you can see, there has been a lot of great progress in Azure Functions already, but there are 3 more announcements we're making today. First, Azure Functions Proxies is now generally available. Proxies allows for controlling your functions APIs in a very simple way. It has support for HTTP routing, composition, request response overrides, mocking APIs, and more. It has been used by customers implementing microservices API in a serverless manner. Second, in addition to functions running traditionally on Windows, we're previewing functions running on Linux or even a custom container. The functions experience still has the same great value of function as a service, but now it combines the advantages of running on top of Linux or even bringing your own dependencies configured in a container. Lastly, we continue to enable running functions in more places. Now you can run functions on IoT edge devices. This allows for processing events without custom business logic going to the cloud. Development is done with the same rich experience functions developers are accustomed to, and it can be done end-to-end right on Visual Studio Code. For all these 3 announcements, there are other videos that will go into much more details. Make sure to check them out. Now that you have seen all the latest and greatest around Azure Functions, play with it for yourself. Contact the team with any feedback using GitHub, Twitter, or user voice. Check out our documentation and dig in your favorite feature. Have a blast with functions, and thanks for watching.